Well, hi everybody, Bill here. Remember some time ago we rebuilt that retaining wall on the left? Well, now we're going to rebuild the retaining wall on the right. If you'd like to see how I do that, join me right now on Today in Iowa. Well, one wall wasn't enough. I'm going to bite off another retaining wall here. You can see the gaps in the wall. Now, on the upper left, I moved those blocks, so I did that. Our mission is going to be to remove those top 3 rows of blocks, and we've got to change the water flow because it's flowing towards that wall, and I need to have that water flow away from the wall and away from the house. I'll explain that more here in a little bit. Here's a couple different views. We've also going to have to worry about that maple tree there. So the first thing I want to do is establish the grade. So that's my highest point right there. So once I get that zeroed in, I'm going to measure from that red circle over to the retaining wall. Now, a telltale sign of how much it's sloping is look at my foundation. See the difference there of the soil, how it comes down and goes underneath that rock wall. So I'm going to hold it against this wall, and then it's going to get a solid tone when it matches where I started with, and then that'll let us know what the difference is.
13 inch. This is 13 inches lower than over there.
Okay, so that shouldn't be a surprise. The retaining wall is 13 inches lower than where I started. Now let's take another measurement.
So it's 27 inches from the bottom of this to that stone. So I've got to keep that 27 inches below this. Well, that's 12 inches. So I've got to get 15 inches lower. That's not going to work.
All right. So you can't bury that stone on the side of the house. You'll destroy those mortar joints if you put them under dirt. So we've got to figure out what to do with that. There's quite a difference there. And we also have to consider not damaging any roots underneath this maple tree and adjusting the slope quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to use that stone wall there that's sitting on a brick ledge. And we're going to use that as just a place to start. Let's just start leveling that out and see what we come up with. At this point, I'm thinking of some kind of swell design to meet all our needs here. So let's see what we come up with. You probably notice the soil isn't the best for my area, but it's really not the worst either. This has grown grass in there. There's a lot of small stones in it. There's some larger stones off to the right we're going to get into here in a little bit. You'll also note that I kept my street pads on the backhoe. You'll see it jump around there a little bit, but I'm really happy with those. I really don't take them off. I'm able to go from hard surface to lawn to this situation and not have to take them off to kind of stabilize the backhoe. This is probably the rockiest part of my project here. When we backfilled all this, there was a lot of limestone in this. You can see some larger rocks there to the closer to the camera. We're going to get into those in a minute. Some other things you might notice here, there's a power outlet and a hose bib. I'm going to remove those and put those in another part of the house because I'm putting a new deck in this area when I get this landscaping project done. Now what I'm trying to do here is kind of keep the distance between that ledger board and the bottom of that stone open. Granted, and keep in mind, I should say, that there's going to be a deck over this. So that's going to contribute to my solution on how to improve the grade here. I'm reaching out here trying to get some of those bigger slabs, but sometimes it just never fails. My tractor's just always a few inches short. Well, as we were going along, I noticed the exhaust filter indication came on. Notice it's 28 on the filter. I'm getting the indication it wants to do a regen, and the soot level 75%. Well, this is a perfect situation to just keep on working, keep the idle high, and let it do its thing. We'll come back to that. I don't know, I lost track of it, maybe 15-20 minutes, and I noticed it was over. So I'm going to take the poorer soil and store it close to my project. So I may either use that for fill for another project, or I may bring it back. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to keep it within 25 feet of my project there. My thoughts here is I'm going to dig low, create kind of a ditch right here. Then I'm going to pull my dirt closest to the wall back into the ditch, and then I'll scoop it out and pull it out and away. I don't want to get pushing up against that wall and blow the whole doggone wall out. So I'm hoping this is going to work for us. So dig deep in that one area, drag the dirt back, then scoop it and haul it out. You know, I could have used a box blade on this too, but I just thought, then I've got to scoop up the dirt, haul it away, and this is just so easy. The tractor loader backhoe here is the perfect combination for a job like this. Excavate, move the dirt back, then use the loader to take it to another location. I don't have a cutting edge on the bucket, but it seems to be working real nice. I've never had the reason to purchase one of those. Have you? And do you use it very much? This might have been a real good example or time to try one out, wouldn't it? Let me know what you think. Well, it's getting near lunchtime, but I know that regen is going on right now. Unfortunately, it popped up about right now. Soot level is 16%, and we started out at 75%. And then the exhaust filter is, let's see what that is. We went from 28% to 0. So everything's all done now. The indicator's off and it's time for lunch. So I was sitting there for lunch, these critters come through, and I thought, well, let's just leave the camera run and see what's going on with these guys today. You seemed a little worried about something. Wasn't too long I found out why. Here comes the big buck along. It's that time of year, you know. Then he went around to the front of my house, and I thought, doggone, he's going to rub that bark up on that tree. So here's what we did. Go get your guns. You're not very good, let me try. Well, I'm not very good either. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. Alright, let's get back to work. So, remember this hook that we made in a previous video? I thought I'd try it again. This is what I originally put this thing together for us to be able to pick up these blocks. I thought I could just run that hook through those blocks, swing them around and dump them on a pallet quickly and easily, but it's not really working out that way. One of the things I'm trying to accomplish here, and we do, is to avoid lifting those blocks higher and over our heads, higher than our shoulders on the ground, and just kind of tight up above there where I'm working. So I've got the thumb on there, so we're going to go that direction here in a few minutes, but we'll give this a chance before I sling it over the hill. But really didn't work out very well for me, but again, I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing it before you don't see it again. You know, I lubricate my backhoe probably every 2 or 3 times out. The book says every 10 hours you're supposed to lubricate all the cylinders, swing frame, boom pivot, dipper stick pivot, the bucket pivot, and linkage. Every 50 hours lubricate the stabilizer pivots, and every 100 hours clean inside the valve covers. That's something I need to do. I sure appreciate Kenny's help on making this thing, but I just can't find a purpose for it right now. What do you think? Do you have any ideas for this? If not, it's going to go away. So let's move on. Alright, again, here's my thoughts. Dig behind that wall. Pull that dirt towards the backhoe and tractor into that ditch that I've been making. Then I'll empty that ditch, that ravine. Put the dirt down the storage site there behind the tree. The dirt's behind that tree that's shown behind the 270 backhoe there. So it's real close. Again, the soil's not too bad. Starting to get into some rock now from that original installation. Now with the dirt removed behind that wall, I can go ahead and start pulling those blocks backwards and down into that ditch. I don't feel like I'm jeopardizing the remaining part of that wall, so I'm just going to pull that block in here, and now we're going to start using the thumb. Let's get that adjusted right, and I think we're going to be able to pick some of this stuff up. I was looking at the Backhoe thumb operator's manual. It talks about don't use it as a pry bar, don't use it to push or pull materials or objects, don't use it to move objects from side to side. And it says don't make sudden start and stops when moving large objects. So if you're young, you're probably thinking, why am I not just pulling those blocks off from down below? But as time will show you, the upper body strength starts to leave you. I've got some sciatic issues started, so my goal is to just crimp these things, pick them up, swing them over to the right where it's more level, and then I'll get them onto a pallet and fork them out of there. I'm just trying to save some back work. And it's kind of nice because the blocks are filled with some gravel and spoils, so as I pull them up, most of it empties out. I think they're 80 pounds empty, and so with that soil in there, probably an easy 100 pounds apiece. And lifting over my head and that, well, those days are gone. So it sure is nice to have the backhoe, and I've kind of got the thumb adjusted right now where I can grab a hold of that. Now I'm being real careful. You're going to see it here in a little bit. I'm going to crack one of these. I'm trying to keep a bite on that at the face and the rear. Trying not to get off at an angle where I crack it. There's a nice solid pickup on the face. Swing that over. Now once I got it up there, see, I can swing it on the pallet, load it to the pallet. It's a nice, safe, level place to get it over there. And then I can haul these out of here. I don't know if this would qualify for an example of moving materials from side to side, but geez, an 80-pound block, I'm not too worried about that, are you? I looked at my records. I bought this thumb in 2019. It was $600, and I feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of it. I use it more than one would think. It's nice to be able to pinch things and swing them around and get them out of your way or in the back of your truck or trailer, whatever the case. Sure enjoy it. I understand why it doesn't, but I wish the backhoe boom would swing 90 degrees to your left or your right. That'd be convenient. Well, remember I told you I was going to crack one there. I just got a little too aggressive, I guess, pinching that one. You'll see it swing around here, and I cracked it. I'm real square on it, but for some reason it broke. Alright, so I got the pallet all loaded up. How much weight do you think's on that thing? Figuring each block's about 80 pounds. There's fractured ones there and that. What's your estimate on that? So we go to try to pick it up, and as you can expect, it's a little too much. I think I've kind of been told and experienced about 1,000 pounds lifting capability for the 2038. But I can't even get this one up enough to even scoot it across the ground. Even using the curl function, sometimes it'll get you up off the ground enough. So what I got to do is just take a few off and load it closer to the fence of the forks. You know, when you lift something heavy, you lift it closer to your chest. It's the same way with the forks. I just got to get it closer back there to that fence, and I'll be able to lift it up. Still quite a bit of weight on here. And, well, there's the results. I still can't get it up, even curling. So let's do it again and see how we make out. All right, here's the third attempt. There we go. I can get it up and curl it back enough that I can get my way over to my storage site. Boy, this is so nice. I remember the day when a guy would haul that stuff across the yard all by hand or a wheelbarrow, and boy, having a tractor and forks, what a blessing as you get older. Being so careful to haul that stuff over there, all falls off the pallet. Oh man, I gotta go pick that all up again. Alright, let's get back at her here. Again, demonstrating how the thumb works so doggone nice to pull that block up out of there and get it on the pallet. As we watch the project here, I got the owner's manual again. Remind you that the reach on that backhoe is 9 foot 9 inches. As I said before, the swing arc is 150 degrees, so I couldn't get that 180 I was wishing for. The dig depth 7 feet. I've had it hole dug to 7 feet. It works very good for that. And then the boom lifting 255 pounds, so these blocks aren't of any concern. There's a footnote with that 255. It said that's with the dipper arm and the boom extended, lifting with the boom cylinder only and the weights attached at the bucket pivot. So it seems like a worst case scenario, it doesn't at 255 pounds. So my 80-pound blocks, you know, not a big deal, is it? You know, when you talk about the boom and the dipper stick, it's silly, but the way I remember the dipper stick is, that's the one closest to the bucket. It reminds me of an ice cream scoop. It's the closest one in your hand to the ice cream, and you're dipping ice cream out. That's how I keep those two separate. The dipper's out there in the end getting all that ice cream goodness. Well, let's take a little time and say hi to everybody who took time to say hello to me in that last video. I'd like to reach out and say hi to Crypto in Nova Scotia, Canada. There's a couple of you fellas up there checked in last month. I sure appreciate it. Yeah, here, Lori. Lori from Nova Scotia. You guys know each other? I'll have to get up that way someday. I understand it's very pretty. Dean from West Virginia, one of my favorite parts in the world. David checked in from Missouri. T.W. Lyons, he's over at Siletz, Oregon. That's just 10 miles to the west coast. I'll bet that's really pretty, TW. I'd like to see that area someday. Jack checked in from Anchorage, Alaska. Keith, he's west of Centerville, Iowa. Andrew's down in Texas. Eric, Doug, Elvin, Dave, Scott, Mark, all checked in. They didn't tell me where they were watching from, but I sure appreciate it. John Metcalf, he's a real cowboy out there in Montana, I believe. Mark Smith checked in from Massachusetts. Got a brand new 1025 last month. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas to him. I bet that's going to be a lot of fun for him. And then one of my favorite parts in the world too, Ronnie checked in from Jane Lou, West Virginia. Thanks for taking time to check in, everybody. Sure appreciate it. I know it's a little work for you, but it encourages me to keep making the videos, and I sure appreciate it. And do me a favor and hit that like button. Boy, the analytics at Google, they're tough to compete with, so every time you smash it down, it's just one more vote for keeping me around, keep my videos in front of people. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. So you can see how I've tapered that wall back, and that's been working pretty good for me. I don't have a bunch of soil on the other side of the wall that I got to clean up. Everything's on the top side. Just like I've done before, I'm going to continue to pull that soil and rock back towards the tractor, and then I'll load it out of there without putting any pressure on the wall. Rain's in the forecast today, so I'm anxious to get to the point where we can at least tarp this and be protected. You'll also note that I don't have the stabilizer on the left side, as the camera sees it, down. I'm too close to that wall, I can't get it down. But the tractor's nice and stable, but I'm operating with that in mind. I don't know if I said anything, but I've never taken the street pads off since I made those and attached those to the tractor. Been having real good luck with those. You might be interested to know I bought an everything attachment Wicked grapple. Ordered it about 5 months ago, and it just came in before a snowstorm here. So I've got it in the shop. We'll be getting that out soon and doing a review on that. So if you'd like to see that, be sure and subscribe so you get noticed. And then I got a helicopter I'm going to have some fun with, so don't miss the helicopter that Today in Iowa purchased. I think you'll get a kick out of this too. I was looking at the radar during lunch, and there's some storms moving in this way. So it's funny, we got rained out on the last retaining wall project, if you remember that. There's what I saw. So I need to get things tarped over and leveled out here, because it looks like we're going to get a pretty good rain. I don't want this all turn mud and slide down into that lower area. That'd be a lot of work I don't want to do. Well, let's wrap this one up, because things have moved in quickly, and it's a good time to head in. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to spend with me in my video. I promise I'll get the other video behind this out next week, so you won't have to wait a month. Check in and say hello, and let me know where you're watching from, everyone. See you soon, everybody. So long.